welcome to the Might Ramble podcast.
Rob, tell us about that.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest.
Hello, everyone. Before we begin, the views expressed in this podcast are my personal views and do not reflect those of any employer, university, research institution, funding body, or collaborator. Participation by guests does not imply endorsement of my views, nor does my hosting imply endorsement of theirs. Okay, that's all. Welcome to episode 18 of the Might Ramble podcast. Today my guest is Brad Womack. I'm going to give you the shrug because we just went from like a pretty hardcore scientist to the former Bachelor. But I want to talk a little bit about my experience with Brad. So I worked in a gym cafe making $15 an hour, just essentially a nobody back there like making smoothies and stuff. And I saw this guy come in. I didn't know who he was, and he was just deeply, like when Brad walks in a room, one, you notice him. Like I'm 5'8" with a mustache, and Brad is like 6'1" and built, and so you definitely notice him. But this guy came in, and I just watched him go person to person, including with me, just be incredibly kind, and there was no sense of pretentiousness or like Brad was here and Mitchell Cafe worker is here. Like Brad just met me where I was at, and he was curious about what was going on with me, even though we were complete strangers. And so I noticed this working in the cafe. I didn't know who Brad was, and I was just like, oh, that's interesting, right? And then I found out Brad was a Bachelor twice, and I was like, okay, this is definitely interesting to me, to see someone that, doesn't need to be kind to people that really can't do anything for him, right? Like Brad's life would be perfectly okay if, he wanted to walk around like he was better than everyone else. He'd probably be all right? But he didn't do that, and so this was interesting to me. And it took a little bit to unfold, but now as I've had a podcast, I was like, I want to bring this guy on, and I want to talk to Brad Womack. Like, I very intentionally didn't watch his seasons of The Bachelor because I didn't want to come in with so many preconceived notions that I was going to put him in a box, right? And so that is how we ended up here today. So thank you, Brad, for being here. I really appreciate it. And I guess we'll jump right in.
Sure.
Do you want to give us... Go ahead.
Well, sure. I just want to say, Mitchell, I'm beyond humbled, frankly, by that introduction. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I feel honored to be asked to be on your podcast. I mean that. I did take a little bit of a dive into your past guests, and I did see the scientist, and I was wondering, man, I am low-hanging fruit. It's. But I'm honored to be here, and more importantly, thank you for that introduction. That's very kind, and thank you. I that's all I'll say. I appreciate it, and I'm very happy to be here.
It definitely struck me as interesting. Brad, you've done this many times probably, talking a bit about your background, but I was wondering if you could just walk us through a little bit of your life history prior to, starting to live a very abnormal life, at least for a period of time in terms of attention.
Sure. It's funny you mention attention, and we'll get into that, but contrary to popular belief, I absolutely hate attention. And so anyway, I'll give you a brief history. I'm very close with my two brothers. One is an identical twin. We just discussed you have a fraternal twin. I would love to dive a little bit more into that.
Yeah.
Because of the bond, the inevitable bond that's just created. We literally shared the womb together. And then I have a little brother. But anyway, grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Moved to a small town in East Texas when I was 12. And then moved to Austin in 1991. And so I'm 53. I'm starting to feel my age a little bit. And so thank you for letting me feel at least briefly like a cool kid again. I want to hang with you a little bit. But anyway, right out of, I went to college for 1 year and then went to work in the oil fields, and really found that to be fulfilling, very fulfilling. The town that I went to high school in, there weren't many options for well-paying jobs. I mean, it's just part of life, right?
You grew up. So you were
Livingston, Texas. So I was in Atlanta,
Yeah.
but then I went to high school in Livingston, Texas.
It's pretty small.
Very small. I mean, town of I think at that time we had 6,500 people total.
Okay.
In the town, and so and great town. Don't get me wrong. It's just you either go to college or go to try to get a well-paying job, right? A blue-collar job. Like I said, I went to college. I realized really quickly it wasn't for me. So 10 years in the oil fields, really liked that job. And then my twin brother had always wanted to get in the bar business, right? And asked me, he said, hey man, I think we can do this. We need to start at the very bottom and work our way up. And after 10 years in the oil fields, I left that job at 27 years old, and 28 years old, and started bartending and working the door and whatever we could get. But anyway, and then we formed our hospitality company, and I'm very pleased to say we had that company for 23, almost 24 years. Very recently sold that company, and now trying to figure out, what's next. I can't retire, much less I don't want to retire. But anyway, that's a bit of my background. I've always, in my very humble opinion, been a very hard worker.
Sure.
And so,
Let's go back. Like,
please, sure, I'll answer anything.
Like growing up. So
Yeah.
you have this identical twin.
Sure.
Did they do the thing where they wouldn't allow you to be in the same classroom?
It wasn't that it wasn't allowed. It just ended up that way.
Okay.
And it's funny. I'm glad you asked to kind of go back a little bit because, like I said, we were born in Atlanta,
Yeah.
and there's a pretty interesting backstory there. My stepfather, at the time, seemingly had everything put together. We lived in a very affluent neighborhood when we were kids, and we didn't know anything. We just thought that was life, right? Well, we moved to Livingston, Texas, and we moved into at first it was essentially a shack, no central air, little heat. Chad and I shared a room. We were all sharing rooms, right? And anyway, what I'm getting at, and then we upgraded to a double wide trailer from the shack.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, I'll tell you this, it was a great lesson though. I value life experiences and relationships more than anything. And also, that's not the right thing to say. The lesson that I was taught is, one, anything can go quickly, right? But also, money doesn't make or break anybody. Situations don't. It's what you do to get out of those situations if they're negative. Anyway, so what I'm getting at, my mom's second husband, he had actually lost his job. She didn't know this. They got divorced. It was a big, big deal. So what I'm getting at, we moved to small town USA from Atlanta, Georgia, and got dealt a hand in basically just kind of trying to adapt to your surroundings. You know what I mean? And like I said,
what age did you move to Livingston?
12 years old.
12 years
and
old.
so we were very impressionable kids.
It's like middle school.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually we had, it was considered junior high school when we moved. There was, I think, 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then, but it was kind of a culture shock, I mean, we went from Atlanta, Georgia, and, all of this stuff. And then we go to Livingston, Texas, and it was a very, very country town, which I love, got country feel, but, we had never worn boots in our life. And anyway, it was more of just a culture shock about how people live their lives. And so at a young age, we were forced to adapt, And
at what age did, okay, so you had a dad, dad left, right?
Yeah. Dad was gone when we were around 3 or 4 years old,
Okay.
Chad and I,
Yeah. Do you have any memories of your dad?
Of course. So, and I appreciate that question. So, my dad, that's a tough one. And I try to be open about it, but, he would come in and out of our lives throughout our entire life. And still to this day, I'll hear from him very randomly. I think the last time I saw him was my grandfather's funeral, and we shook hands. And Mitchell, if I'm being honest, it's an indifferent feeling. It's
on your end.
On my end.
Yeah.
I don't love him. I don't hate him. It's one of those things that I try to recognize that at the end of the day, we're all humans, and no one's perfect. Now, some of the things that he pulled with my mom are seemingly unforgivable. And I try to just try to wonder or try to process what he was going through at that time. I don't understand, walking out on your kids' lives. I don't understand broken promises. I don't understand false promises.
I think the thing is too, like, I'm not a parent yet,
Yeah.
but should I become a parent, or
Sure.
or if that's what I'm aiming for, which I am aiming for that eventually, it's like you have a responsibility
Absolutely.
to this person, right? If you have a kid, like, your life is no longer primarily about you. It's about your kids.
That's it.
It's at least how I view it. And so, there also is a saying, right? Like, most of the evil in the world is done by good people with good intentions,
Yeah.
right? And so it's usually, that type of thing as a result, like a dad walking out, it's something, going on with him and his own internal suffering, right? And
Sure.
not able to bear the cross of responsibility of having, kids, right? And so,
Absolutely.
But I hear you as far as, I don't know. I think that is like a trauma of sorts, right?
Sure.
And so,
Of course.
that type of, rejection and abandonment,
Mhm.
there's also a saying, like, the best revenge isn't, getting even. It's becoming indifferent to it.
Sure.
Right?
I love that saying, and I've never heard that until now. And so, and the thing is, he was kind of an outlaw. He was a bad boy, and then my mom was, the prom queen and all of that good stuff. And so it's the quintessential high school story of, bad boy meets good girl, and they tried to make it work, and it didn't. But it did. It shaped me, if I'm being very honest. That relationship, or lack thereof, shaped me. And I do want to put a little plug for both of my brothers. I am not a father. I intentionally chose not to have children. And so, but my two brothers are. And Mitchell, I'm not just saying this, from my experience, they're two of the best fathers that I have seen, and they're present. And they do put their children before them each and every single day. And so, anyway, I agree with what you said about responsibility. There was anger there for years, and that's a real difficult thing to process, when you're angry all the time.
Sure.
And I get embarrassed about that anger sometimes,
Yeah.
or at the time especially.
I'll just jump in here too,
Please,
and
please.
without going into too many details.
No,
But,
please.
I had a relationship, right, where there was someone that kind of had more power than me, right, and was kind of responsible both for like my professional well-being, right,
Okay.
and in some ways, like, it was supposed to be like a mentor relationship,
Yeah.
right, almost mom-esque, right.
Okay.
And it ended up with some severely broken promises, right, and dishonesty,
Yeah.
right, and so I'm like, a couple years down the line from that happening, but I totally can relate to, like, it's this, like, deep anger, right?
Of
and
course.
it's a lot of work trying to work towards that indifference, right, where I'm not bothered by it anymore.
Absolutely. I'm sorry that happened to you,
that's
man. And I'll add one more element to that story is, my dad's a pretty rough dude, and, take that for what you will, but the only reason I'm bringing that up is violence was almost romanticized, glamorized in a way, okay?
Yeah.
The very few times we would see him throughout our lives, it was, we were taught these lessons about, no, you need to be violent if you're angry. No, that's what I'm telling you. I mean, that's what a real man does, in which we all know that's, frankly, I think that's that is not the sign of a real man at all. So, just trying to process what lessons do I follow? What lessons do I try to adhere to?
Yeah. Any type of, say, neglect or,
Sure.
Harm to children, right? Yeah, like, the most typical outcome, right, is that the child ends up repeating, right,
Absolutely.
what the parent did.
Absolutely.
Right? But then there's also people that break that, right?
Absolutely.
It sounds like your brothers have done that, and you've obviously done that, and to not perpetuate the cycle. So,
Well, thank you
yeah,
very much.
super cool. But,
Yeah, I appreciate the questions.
So I still want to come back here to, like,
Okay.
childhood and growing up. And so, did you play sports?
No, it's so funny. No, and Chad and I laugh about this all the time because
Because you look like you would have played sports.
I appreciate that, but listen, it's all smoke and mirrors, man. It really is. I'll call myself out as much as possible only because I wish I had the talent. I admire true athletes.
Yeah.
Because physical fitness is it's what drives me. It always has, and but there's a vast difference between wanting to push yourself and some endurance event and actually being able to, or having the talent to perform. And no, so we didn't. And another thing, you know, and it's not a sob story, but like I said, when we moved to Texas and when I was at the working age, 16 and above, we didn't have anything at all. And so if we wanted anything, and I mean anything, out of basic meals and stuff like that, we'd have to pay for it. And so I got a job sacking groceries out after school and did that 6 days a week, actually.
It's funny, I can picture this so well because I grew up in a small town.
Oh, let's go. Okay,
So,
yeah.
Tipton, Iowa.
Yeah,
It's about
okay.
3,000 people.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
My graduating high school class was like 50 kids.
Okay.
Right? And so like this dynamic of like I'm down at the local grocery store bagging groceries. I totally
Right?
get it. So,
Yeah. It's so funny
Like,
because I worked at one and Chad worked at the competing grocery store, you know, and but yeah, and so no, I would have loved to have played sports, but no team was picking me. I can promise you that.
Sure.
And then another thing, it's just one of those things, you know, we just went to work. That's also, and I do want to say this for anybody that's out there working a job after school, still going to practice, still performing, still getting the grades. I admire those young men and women
for sure.
to no end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's and coming back to this small town, like were you popular in your grade?
We were, and I say that humbly. You know,
Okay.
we were very well known, and you know, we'd have those, I don't know, those gratuitous awards that the yearbooks have that
Oh,
they
sure.
give out, you know, most popular or whatever, and
Yeah.
all of this stuff. And we typically made those lists. And they're so superficial. You know, I'm sure I'm getting red even saying, we made it, but no, we were well known, and we you know, we ran with some good kids, and
And were you and Chad just like always together, or did you kind of have like probably a lot of mutual friends, but like Brad's kind of closer with a few different people, and Chad's over here, and
you know, that's a really, really good question that, and it's a very intuitive question, only because I've never been asked that, and I flash back, you know, in high school, there were times.
I guess what I'm getting at too is like, as a twin, right, you kind of get lumped together definitely a lot in early childhood, right?
Absolutely.
But also a very important part of development is becoming your own person.
Absolutely.
Right? But it can be, it's just a different dynamic where
Right.
like I literally shared the womb with this person and we're all intermingled, right? And like
Sure.
in some ways we're viewed as attached to one another. So I'm just like, I'm trying to probe into like, you know, what was your own individualization kind of process as you grew up?
You know, I love this question, and it brings a memory, vivid memory, that I was sitting on the couch sulking, and I remember my mom asking, "What's wrong?" And Chad had gone out with a buddy of his, you know, just driving around. I think that's all we had to do in small towns. Is you drive up and down Main Street,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
Good God, we are rednecks.
get
You
out
are
of-
too.
yeah.
So, and I'd say that
You
lovingly.
get your friends, you get in the car,
Yeah.
you like drive down the road, you
That's
get
it.
out on the country road.
That's
right?
it.
As you get older, you know, you're like with the cool kids and
Sure.
someone's smoking weed in the back or
That's
something
it.
like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It, but and yeah, I just remember that. And so yeah, there were times. And then when I went to school, I joined a fraternity. Chad did not, and so there were. It actually kind of caused or created a small wedge between Chad and I. When I think about that time now, it's heartbreaking to me. Only because, you know, I couldn't be closer to another human being at this point in my life. It's been that way for decades.
For sure. The twin relationship is so interesting too. I mean,
Sure.
I'm fraternal and you're identical. And I would say, like, you know, you're close with people in different ways.
Yeah.
There's a type of closeness I have with my twin, though, that is entirely unique. I don't
Of
know how
course.
to, like, being able to intuit or almost, like, just whatever I'm picking up on, it's not even conscious, but I'm like, I know how he's feeling. Like, I know what he's probably thinking.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it's different than any other relationship, that's for sure.
Couldn't agree more. And Chad and I are definitely, man, I mean, you know, in tune with each other. He's been, the true definition of a friend, a mentor at times, a confidant, a supporter, a tough love deliverer, if that's even the word. And I hope you have that too with yours. What about, if you can ask you a question?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I should have told you this before.
Yeah.
Definitely feel free to ask me whatever. I'm happy to share.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Only because the similarities are somewhat uncanny, in my opinion, because you have a twin, and I just met another brother of yours. And so now, is the brother I just met younger or older than you guys?
He's younger.
Yeah, so, okay, so us too. So we have a younger brother. What's the dynamic like between you and your younger brother, and then you, your twin, and your younger brother?
Yeah, I'll try to answer this as honestly as possible. So my twin and I are fraternal and very different.
Okay.
And I would say between us, in a humble way, I'm just trying to be objective. Like, I kind of, was like, hey, twin, like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna play these sports,
Yep.
right? I was the good student. He wasn't as good of a student, so
Okay.
I'd help him with his stuff and make sure he's like getting his stuff done. And so
Right.
I guess I was humbly, but yeah, the leader between my twin and I for sure, right? And
Okay.
that's always kind of been the case. And then with my younger brother, I mean, it's interesting. So I guess to share a little bit about myself, I've had
Please.
some struggles, right, with addiction.
Yeah, I want to hear all about it. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I've had some ups and downs in my adult life with that. And
Okay.
so I guess growing up, I would characterize my younger brother, in my opinion, as a brat.
Yeah.
Right. And so I like bullied him. Like I
Okay.
remember like chasing him around on the football field, right, in like high school practice. And he's like a freshman who can hardly move, and I'm, like a senior, right?
Right.
So he's like terrified and screaming, right? I was kind of an asshole at times to my younger brother.
You were
Right.
just a brother. They're kind of the same thing.
You go through phases where you're on better terms or worse terms.
Sure.
I guess as we got into adulthood, though, I don't know, it seems like when he was around 16 or so, he had this drastic shift where he went from being such a brat to like just a really deeply kind,
Yeah.
curious person that
Yep.
just wants to work hard and know more about things. And so I guess I've watched that unfold for him, well, his entire life, but really that particular, kind of mindset from him over the last decade. What I say, I want to function as his older brother and confidant and be able to give advice, right? And in some ways I have been able to do that in my adult life, but then it's also been very interesting in that as I've had some ups and downs, like with addiction, right? There have been times where, I've had to not cling to him, but where he's almost functioned as the older brother.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, like I can help you out. That's actually how I ended up down here in Texas. He was like, you're going through a tough time, like I don't have any family here. Do you want to come down here and like live with me? Like we'll figure it out, right? And so
I love that.
it's kind of been that inversion. It's actually been really beautiful to experience,
Yeah.
that, and also I don't know if proud is the right word, but I'm happy that I was able to let him in some ways help me.
Sure.
Right? Because as like an older sibling, you're kind of like, no, like I'm fine, I got this type
Of
of thing.
course.
And so that's kind of been the dynamic, and I guess as my life has been evolving and I'm kind of, back in the driver's seat here, I've been functioning more again as like older brother. But
Yeah.
It's just a process, and I think, I don't know, I try to meet him, eye to eye, and try to share with him, like, I'll give an example. So when I was probably 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, I was struggling with a stimulant addiction.
Okay.
Right? And it finally came to the forefront. I had to get honest with it about my family, and it was like this big deal, right?
Right.
I remember sitting down with him while he was still in high school, and I was like, Keith, I had fun in high school and I partied and stuff, but be very careful. I never thought this could happen to me,
Yeah.
and then I messed with this, right? And it was like lock and key, and it was not good.
Of
right?
course,
So,
yeah.
like, being able to share my own mistakes and missteps and try to prevent that, or help him realize like these are paths I don't want to explore because of the danger. Like Mitchell's learned the danger of
Right.
certain things, and yeah.
Now, let me ask you, I don't want to pry. I really don't.
Oh no, it's all good.
Has Keith struggled at all?
Not with addiction or anything.
Good. Okay, yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I think life can just be challenging in
Of
general.
course,
right?
of
Like,
course.
Coming into adulthood,
Sure, sure.
there's a lot to figure out in terms of who you are, where do you want to spend your time, what do you
course.
actually care about, right? And so
Yeah.
I think it's just pretty normal stuff.
Yeah, no, I specifically was referring to addiction, and,
Yeah.
and so hopefully he did learn from you.
He's
And-
good.
Now, let me ask you this: what about what's your relationship like with your parents?
Parents, it's good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I really look up to my dad. I
Good.
entirely admire him, the way that he's provided for our family, and he's got a really, really good, faith that has helped him with, his marriage and
Right.
the responsibility that comes with having 6 kids. And,
Yeah.
a deeply kind man. He's like analytical and objective, and like, well, let's get pen to paper here and figure things out, right?
Sure.
And my mom is very emotional type of thing. So they're very different people, and I would say both my relationships with both of them are very good overall.
Yeah.
There's nuance there, just in terms of well-being and stuff
Sure.
like that. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, just curious. Yeah,
Yeah.
very curious.
Yeah, but coming back to you, So you're in high school,
Right.
right? Your life is like probably pretty normal.
Sure.
I'm trying to think. You're 53, so 35 years ago you would have been finishing high school. So this is like 1990.
Yeah,
right?
91, but you're close.
Internet is like baby. Right?
If even, yeah, it's in its infancy.
Absolute infancy. There's
Yeah.
probably no cell phones.
Nah,
right?
no.
Did you have to like go over and like, knock on people's doors or like call a phone?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's funny. I just saw a meme that does anybody remember when you would call or try to call your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and the parent would answer, and then you'd have to talk to the parent for a while.
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
you get nervous. So those days are long gone, thank God.
I got a little. I got that.
Did
Thankfully.
you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in a small enough town that like that still happened for me growing up.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad.
It was great. Yeah.
You had to run through the gauntlet, so to speak. Just
It
to
was
pop
like a
in.
mystery sometimes,
I
right?
know.
It was like I'm gonna go over to their house and knock on the door.
That's
and
it.
I hope my friend is home.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah. So it was that day and age.
Yeah, for sure. And then you get out of high school,
Right.
and you go to college. You decide it's not for you,
Mhm.
right? And then you get into the oil fields,
Right.
And I'm trying to picture working in the oil fields. Like,
Okay.
what does this actually entail?
I'll tell you. And
Like an average day of Brad Womack working in the oil field.
Sure. So, average day, believe it or not, so I still trained in the oil fields too. And so even if we were in a small town, I'd find a local gym. The only reason I'm bringing that up is, so I'd get up usually around 4:30, maybe 5.
Sure.
Go and train for about an hour. We'd have to be at the safety meeting at probably 7:30. No, 7. Sometimes 6. And then if that was the case, I wouldn't train. Anyway, a typical day. So what I was specifically doing at that time is called seismic surveying.
Okay.
And so it's essentially surveying. But you went through all types of terrain. And so if we were in the swamps of Louisiana, you were in waist deep swamps the
wow.
entire day. If we were in
And you're trying to are you like puncturing the ground and being like, is there oil here?
no, so that's a perfect question. So what we did, and I did both, there's 3-4 facets of this, but seismic surveying, we surveyed the lines. We would land a 3D grid
Okay.
for these cables and geophones to be laid on. Okay. I also did at one time lay in the geophones. Then you would put these little geophones, you attach them to a cable, and miles and miles and miles and miles of cables, right?
wild.
And so through all types of terrain. They would all send data back to a data truck. They would collect, we would blast dynamite. It would send up seismic vibrations.
Yep.
They would see if there were pockets of oil in the ground. And then years later, they would come back and drill if they thought there was potentially oil there.
Interesting.
Right? And so it was hard work. It was
I bet.
carrying 35, 40, 50, 60 pounds on your back for, God knows, literally all day. You could walk 3 miles if the terrain was really, really dense, or you could walk 20, and it would be snowing, it would be raining, it would be sleeting.
Swamp,
Swamps and deserts. And so, but I got to tell you, go ahead.
You traveled around a lot too, I would imagine.
The entire United States. And so, North Dakota.
How do you even I imagine that would be very hard as like a young adult, right?
Of course.
In that you don't really have home base, or you're far enough away all the time from home base that it's like, how do you even have like a friend group, right? Or like just normal things, because you're just always in different places. Right?
That's it. And it's really tough, man. And so, another thing to add to that, my boss, the company I worked for was really small, right? And so most oil companies, you'll have a very regimented schedule where you're on, say, 14 days on, 7 days off, something like that. Our company was so small, and I wanted to do so well for my boss. I loved that man to no end. And he was really good to me too, and much more than a mentor. He was more like a father figure,
Sure.
and / a best friend in a way, But he was, in my opinion, just everything that I'm not going to say man, because men and women are the same, but just a boss, mentor, leader should be. He led by example. The reason I'm saying that, I worked so hard for him, and so we didn't have those set schedules. And he'd always call Chad and I and say, hey, man, I hate to do this to you. I have another job in North Dakota. This could be real good for us. Would you take it? There were times I'd be driving from, say, South Texas to Austin, coming home, thinking I was going to get a week-long break, calling my girlfriend at the time, hey, I'm coming home, and drive right through Austin, not even stop. And so, yeah, it is difficult to have any kind of social life.
For sure. And I also just want to take a moment and remark upon, in a, I guess, professional setting or that type of thing. Like,
Sure.
if you have a boss that you really respect and
Yeah.
also like look up to as a human being,
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm the same as you. Like, I will work so hard, right?
Yes, and I'll tell you this, Mitchell. That guy, I would do anything for him,
Yeah.
and because he would do anything for all of us. And when we were fortunate enough to start our own company, and we were then the designated leaders of said company, I remember, I'm not kidding, I practiced every single day trying to be like him
Yeah.
and lead by example. And I say this so humbly, but we were able, because of that,
Yeah.
to create such a beautiful work environment culture within our company, you know, and had some really good people working with us, not for us, but with us. And so, yeah, you're exactly right.
That like sense of like, I respect this person so much
Yes.
that I will not let them down.
Yes.
Right? That is a very, very powerful force as
Yes,
far as
it
like,
is.
getting things done. Right?
Yes, it is, and worked very hard for that guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, and so that was a typical day. I mean, we'd work, 16, 17-hour days. You'd go to whatever small local hotel you were boarded up at, and you'd hit repeat, and that could be, I mean, I think the longest I worked without a break was 98 days, I believe.
gosh.
So yeah, something like that.
That's crazy.
And that's hard work, man. But I gotta, excuse me, I have to say this, and I genuinely mean this. It was the most fulfilling job I ever had. I don't know why. I felt like I was doing something on a daily basis.
Probably also like young adulthood, you're coming into your own. And
Of course.
like, man, this is like my baby. I'm proud of this. Right?
Absolutely.
And, like, yeah.
Absolutely. And I saw his trajectory. I mean, I'll never forget. He just told me, we were working for Shell at the time. He was too. And I was riding home with him. And he said, yeah, I might start my own company, right? That's how it started. And fast forward, I think he had that for 20, 25, maybe 30 years, and was wildly successful. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. So, one other question I want to ask. So, you were in Livingston, Texas. I imagine it's probably similar to where I grew up, and that most people probably stay there.
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards, but what brought you to Austin, and when was that?
So I came to Austin in '91.
Okay.
I always knew I wanted to get out of Livingston, and there's nothing wrong with Livingston at all.
No, yeah, same.
Yeah, exactly. But I always felt like there was something more. And like I said, I went to college for 1 year, and that was at Southwest Texas. I'm aging myself now because it's now Texas State,
Okay.
And so, but anyway, so it was close. I wanted to go to A&M, got accepted to A&M, but I wanted to stick with Chad, and I'm bringing that around purposely because of the twin bond.
Yeah.
He didn't even apply to A&M. He wanted to go to Southwest, and so I wanted to be closer to him, and hence the reason we came to Austin.
For sure.
Once I planted roots in Austin, there was no turning back. I mean, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but I've lived in different cities in the, 33, 34 years I've been here. But it's only, I consider that a hiatus, so to speak,
Yeah.
And so I love this town, man. And so, yeah, I always knew something. There was something more.
Gotcha.
Yeah, more opportunity,
Yeah.
so to speak, yeah.
And you get over to Austin, and probably never in your wildest dreams would you ever imagine that, like, oh, I'm going to be the Bachelor someday, right? You're probably just going about your life,
Yeah.
working in the oil fields, and
Yeah.
it sounds like, so you did the oil fields for maybe around a decade
Yeah,
or so,
close,
right?
yeah,
And then you
yeah.
got to like your mid to late 20s.
That's it,
And
yeah.
then you moved into the bar business,
Right.
like, step by step, as far as like, I think you started maybe even just like waiting tables, working the door.
Yes,
that
we
type of thing.
did. Yeah.
What was, I guess, through all that like young adulthood, what question do I want to ask you? There's
Sure.
so many. So, if you end up as the Bachelor, you're
Yeah.
probably a physically attractive human being. This is probably a fair,
Well, that's debatable, but sure.
beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
It is,
But
right?
What, prior to that,
Yep.
right? It sounds like you had some girlfriends and stuff.
Sure.
Like, what was your experience as far as figuring out that women would pay attention to you very differently compared to a normal human being?
Oh, that's a really good question, actually. And
'Cause I'm sure this was something that's not something you assume as you walk around the world. Like, you probably had to like realize this.
well, sure. I mean, there were times, and it's hard to even answer that question without sounding egotistical.
Yeah, no.
You know?
I'm just trying to be like objective.
Oh, I know.
Right?
And so I'll answer it in an objective way. When Chad and I were growing up, we'd be approached by, modeling agencies and things like that. And we were pretty well known amongst the girls in hell, even junior high and high school, things like that. And, and I guess it was, I don't know. And when we got to college, kind of the same thing. We fell right into, kind of a popular group and pretty girls and all of this.
Yeah.
And we weren't ostracized by any means, so I guess that's a win, And so, but no, I think it was always, again, I'm trying so hard not to sound egotistical, but we never had problems getting a date, if that makes sense, and I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. I'm saying that literally, like, that was one thing, Yeah, we just never had problems getting.
Yeah. Just kind of always how it was. Right?
Kind of.
Maybe in a sense similar to, like, I get asked sometimes, what's it like being a twin? And I'm like, well, I've never known any different.
Exactly.
So this is just my normal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kind of like that dynamic, maybe.
Sure. And I'm sure we'll get into it, but I guess that holds true because the way I got asked to be the Bachelor, I didn't. If that's a segue, then I'll tell you, and I'm sure we can jump back, but I've never had aspirations to be on television at all.
Yeah.
And this is a story I love to tell only because it's so true to form of who we are, Chad and I. But we were day drinking, Mitchell. It was a random Sunday in Austin, Texas. And,
okay. How old are you?
I was 20. No, I was 34 because I was 34 and 37 respectively, both seasons.
Yeah.
And so I was 34 at the time. I don't know why I said 20 something. Anyway, so we were drinking. And I'm just going to be really honest. We had been drinking quite a bit. And it was a random Sunday afternoon, and we popped in, of all places, on 6th Street, Iron Cactus.
Okay.
At the time, they used to have this every Sunday thing. Anyway, and we were just eating, and I had noticed, admittedly, up on the mezzanine of Iron Cactus, there was a table, and all I saw was casting. That's all it was.
Okay.
But we were eating. A girl taps me on the shoulder when we were eating. And said, "Hey, this is going to sound crazy. We're in town scouting for the girls. Have you heard of the show called The Bachelor?" And and it was before they recycled people. Do you know what I mean? Like
where they bring people back
from like The Bachelorette and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I had never, like I said, been involved in television.
But you
at all.
knew of the show.
Of course, yeah. She
Okay.
asked me if I had known, and I was a fan of the show. I had watched the show, and she said, "Well, we're scouting for girls, but we haven't found the guy yet. Well, would you be interested?" And at least, interviewing.
And you're like pretty drunk.
Oh yeah, I was lit up, Mitchell. I'm just gonna be honest, man. I mean, let's keep it real, right?
Yeah.
And so I was lit up, and my response, but it was in a very joking, laughable way. I said, "Hell no," I said, "Hell no," and she said, "Well, do this for me. Give me your number. We can be very convincing and have a good day, right?"
Yeah.
And I think it was maybe 5 days later, I was on a plane flying out to meet with the executives.
Okay. So that was a really quick turnaround.
It was a quick turnaround, yes.
Oh my God. Like the psychological of like, I'm just living my normal life, I'm day drinking, I'm like drunk at a bar. And then 5 days later, I'm like, oh my God.
I know. Well, so that was just to see if they would accept it. That was just to meet the initial interview.
Yeah.
And I was just telling this story the other day, but if you can imagine, a guy with no talent, no aspirations to be on TV, like I just said.
No media training.
Nothing. And I'm meeting the president of ABC, the executive producer of the show, and then who would become my producer on the show. So 3 absolute powerhouses in all things media, right?
You're like a diamond in the rough.
And this is ABC, man. And I'm just a kid in my mind, a redneck from the oil fields that was drinking at the time that was asked. And you want to talk about imposter syndrome,
Yeah. Were you like waking up in the morning and being like, is this real?
Absolutely. Yeah. And truly, from that day, even Iron Cactus to throughout filming and even the second season, every single day was, could be described as extremely surreal. And just, some of the experiences and everything for a small town kid, especially that I mean, my word, man.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like, you were aiming for this. It kind of just fell into your lap in some sense.
Yes,
right?
it did. In every sense of that term, it fell into my lap. And so, and so anyway, and I'm sure you have other questions, but yeah, it just, I mean, like I said, it just kind of materialized out of nowhere. And I feel so humbled and lucky and fortunate. I don't have regrets. But I do have, and I'm sure we'll get into the negative side of it.
Yeah.
Eventually.
I am curious.
Ask, please.
Drunk at a bar,
Yeah.
5 days later, meeting with insanely, high up executives,
Yeah.
right? For things you see on TV. And
Sure.
One second. What was my question?
Yeah.
How does a normal life get interrupted by
Yeah.
such a thing? Like, did you have to quit your job? What's the process here between normal life to we're actually filming and you're the Bachelor?
I love
is
this
this
question.
a month-long process?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So from beginning to end, since I was the actual Bachelor, and the reason I'm bringing that up is you have media before, you have media, meaning national media tour before you even start filming, and then you have media leading up to filming on site in Malibu.
Yep.
And then you film, and then afterwards you have media. So, you only film the show, I think it's a total of maybe 7 weeks total.
Okay.
Right? And that's every single day you're filming, right? But, and aside from travel days. But it's the before and after. I mean, it was a months long process. But to answer your question directly, absolutely you have to leave your job. And so thank God I had my own company at the time, but I did sit down. So at the time, I had 3 business partners. There's my twin brother, one other guy, Jason Carrier, and my little brother, Wes. And we were all just thick as thieves.
I have to pause on one thing.
Please.
I'm going to break the fourth wall.
Sure.
In Phoenix, Arizona, there are some people down there that know me as Wes, so I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, no kidding.
I don't know why they call me Wes, but they do. Sorry.
Okay,
we
gotcha.
can cut this part, but...
Yeah,
okay,
I didn't know.
going.
Did you spend time in Phoenix?
I've got some good friends down there, yeah.
Yeah, I just moved from Scottsdale. I was there for about, not a year exactly, but close to it. And so I'd love to get your experience. Yeah, I love it down there, or up there, over there. Anyway, so, but I do remember, so I respected those guys so much. And I say this humbly, but we were rolling at the time, man. We were, things were good, Mitchell. I mean, really good. And I prided ourselves on, in my opinion, the reason they were good, we were in those businesses 7 days a week. We worked, man. And so there was a little bit of apprehension about going on the show. Sure, I mean, it's cool, great, it's fun, but will this disrupt our trajectory in any way, shape, or form? And because that was my main priority, was work. And so I talked to the guys, and of course their response was, "Do it, man."
Everyone was egging you on.
Nothing to lose. Let's go. And but it was a very respectful conversation. But yeah, absolutely. So that halted that right then and there. And then they take your phone from you, so you can't do anything like that. And so your life, you are, figuratively speaking, but I mean, thrust into this very tight, very closely kept bubble in a way, and there's no escape, man. I mean, if you commit, you're with somebody 24/7. And so anyway, yeah, absolutely.
And this kind of secret bubble of sorts.
Yeah.
So this is happening for you, right? Your normal life has been interrupted.
Yes.
And was it just? I imagine you had to keep what was about to come out in public, very, very secret, right?
Yep.
And so, what was that experience like? Almost like this is not in a bad way, but like a delayed bomb here in terms of this is happening to me.
Yes.
But people don't know about it, type of thing.
I love these questions, and only because they're very thoughtful.
Thanks.
Yeah, very thoughtful. And so, and again, yes, you're exactly right. If you imagine, I mean, almost literally dropping off the face of the earth, right? But I can't tell anybody I'm even going to LA. I mean, I can't tell anybody anything. one day this dude is in the bars. I'm talking with our staff and everything.
What did you tell them?
I mean,
I imagine there had to be some context. What would you say?
Well, I left that to Chad, Jason, and Wes.
Oh, okay.
Like, hey, he's just taking a little sabbatical or whatever.
He's got stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, once they announced that I was the Bachelor, I mean, I couldn't say what was going on a daily itinerary basis, you know. But once they announced it, obviously people were like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And, you know, well, good luck or whatever. But absolutely, you know, there was some apprehension there too. I mean, you're leaving life as you know it. And I really was very worried about the businesses, man. But it was a fun time. And like I said, I was grateful, humbled to even be asked.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know, like, when something like that happens, like The Bachelor is a pretty famous show, right?
Yes,
so
it is.
Did you just have people coming out of the woodwork from like yesteryears of being like, "Whoa, Brad, what's going on?"
Yeah, and including my dad. And
that was something I wanted to ask
Absolutely.
about. Like, how did your you know, kind of period of fame,
Sure,
like, did your dad jump back into the picture and be like, "Well, this is my son"?
Man, yes, and I'm just gonna say it, but he sold some stories to magazines that were just blatantly false, and I want to think that maybe that's how he remembered these stories, right? And
like he actually thought he was being honest.
Sure, but
knows,
even getting paid for stories about a child is
it's exploitative.
Absolutely, right? It is by every definition. And so the thing about that, as far as people coming out of the woodwork. You know, I'm just going to tell you, like I said, I never had aspirations to be on TV. And one of the reasons is, contrary to popular belief, because I went on TV, I am a insanely private person, man. I mean, insanely. Hell, I just jumped on social media a few months ago.
This is a question that someone wanted me to ask you is, why does he only have, it was like 800 followers or something?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, that's why. Well, I'll tell you this. So I jumped on social media about a year ago, and very quickly, I mean within months, jumped up to like 20, 30,000 followers. I can't remember. and I really can't remember. And the thing about that, I didn't like that at all. It started the second that I felt that it was becoming disingenuous. I deleted my entire account. I didn't want any, with no warning or whatever. I just deleted. I don't want that, Mitchell.
Yeah.
And so the thing about followers and social media, the only reason I'm on that is to keep in touch with people that I find interesting. You're one of them, you know, and say, okay, these podcasts I find interesting. This brand of running shoe I find interesting, right?
Yep. So
back to what I was saying, you know, and this account that I have, I think is 4 weeks old, 5 weeks old. I can't remember, but
sure.
And I'm going to be honest. I'll probably delete it here in a few months, and once I get tired of it, I'm just being honest.
You can't keep people away.
No, it's not even that. It's just I'm an insanely private person. Always have been. I've always wanted to fly under the radar.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's one of the reasons I chose to do the show. I remember telling them in the initial interview, sure, I'm a very shy guy. This might be a way to break out of my box, you know.
Like you're trying to push yourself, right?
Yeah, out of your comfort zone. We all want to grow, and anyway, and here I am in the bar business, and still I'm kind of an introvert, right? Anyway, I want to answer your question because I'm bouncing all over the place.
Oh, that's all good.
Yeah, people came out of the woodwork, and some good and some terribly malicious, and you know, I had complete strangers. You know, I could go into it, but you know, for a while, for about a year straight, I would receive these letters. They were about 10 pages in handwritten script, but
holy shit.
The letters were this big and a very, I don't mind religion, but it was a dark religious tone in it that was
scary.
Yeah, it was. It was, and that's just one example of things that were very unsettling. I'd have people camping out. Thank God I lived in a condo that had security at the bottom. People camping out whenever I would leave my parking garage. I'd be followed all day and stuff like that. But more importantly, it was, you know, family members that I thought would want to do well and kind of, again, I want to be careful, but I'm just going to say it, but almost, again, exploit the situation for their own personal gain, even if there was dishonesty behind it.
Yep.
And so, yes, I'm rambling here, and I'm going to stop. But
It is the Might Ramble podcast.
oh, I love that. So, okay, Mike Ram, I love that. But so I'll condense this. Absolutely, people came out of the woodwork, and it was overwhelming, man.
I'm sure.
Truly overwhelming.
Yeah, and I imagine, like, as time has gone on, you went through this period where you had so much attention, and
Yep.
like, you know, you make a social media account, people are going to start following it, right? I'm sure that you've gotten used to this kind of bizarre behavior, right, that you may encounter, like these letters or people camping out. But I imagine initially, as that stuff was happening,
Yeah.
going from a normal life to this stuff happening, like, that really would be deeply unsettling, I would imagine. And so
Yep.
I am curious about, you know, what's been kind of your internal evolution with being able to handle, I guess, what I would call like negative feedback, right? And people that don't actually know you,
Right.
You know, taking judgment and doing it like publicly.
Man, I again, another very thoughtful question, and the reason I keep acknowledging the thoughtful questions is, it shows a sign of your character,
Oh,
and
thank you.
and I mean that, and so thank you for, and I don't care how this, but for the compassion, right? And it just means or shows you're a good human being, man. And,
Thank you.
Well, I mean that, and so anyway, and I want to answer that question because it was brutally difficult, and it changed my entire life. It
sure.
changed my perspective on humanity. It changed how I live my life on a daily basis. You know, the first season, as everybody in America knows or knew at the time, I didn't pick anybody.
You were the most hated man in Bachelor.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. And so and I'm going to say this, and this might be tongue in cheek. No, what do they say? What do they say when it's a compliment that you're trying to hide? And oh man,
backhanded?
no, but no, it's a anyway. I'm trying to brag a little bit, but underhanded.
Yeah.
Without actually bragging.
Humble brag.
Humble brag. That's it. I'm humble brag.
Yeah.
This is a humble brag, but you know, ratings were through the roof, and being told, you know, you're America's golden child, everyone loves you. Things were good when we were filming. When I didn't pick anybody, that changed immediately, right? And what it did to my psyche, it destroyed it. And, I mean, only because I care what people think about me.
That's how we're wired to be social creatures that fit in, right? And
Yes,
so, you know,
yes.
You can train past that in a sense, but it's hard, right?
Man, yes, it is. And I've modeled myself after my grandmother, who to me was one of the most purely kind, inherently kind, and innocent human beings I've ever known, right? And people gravitated towards her. So the public hatred, literally, I mean, I'm just going to tell you, I checked myself in to a mental health hospital at one time.
I've been to rehab 4 times. So
Okay, yeah, and I applaud you
familiar.
for that. Yeah, I applaud you for that. But I was thinking about, and this is public knowledge, but taking my life, Mitchell. And I don't want to take this in a dark direction, but
So, I mean, it's just honest. You know, people go through these things. So.
buddy, it got to the point that
I get it. I've been there.
okay, well, I'm sorry then, and
That's all
because
right.
yeah, and so
Not there now. Like,
yeah, thank
actually,
God, right?
I want to take a pause here.
Please,
So, do you want to grab the roses in front of you? And
Sure.
Talk about what these mean.
yeah,
So, 2 roses here.
yeah.
It's a white and a red rose.
Okay.
For both Brad and I, right?
Okay,
And Brad has had some mental health stuff, right?
absolutely.
And he had a very interesting period of his life where he was the Bachelor. So I wanted to get a red rose to symbolize that was then.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And then I got a white rose to symbolize this is now.
Yeah.
Right, in terms of where we're at. And Brad and I are both twins. And so we're kind of like, you know, they're the same but different type of thing, right? But they're together. And so that's why these were laid out.
Thank you so much.
Also, he was the Bachelor twice. So I was like 2 of everything.
Well, I love the meaning behind them, and
Yeah.
once again the thoughtfulness,
Yeah.
and you know I'm a true. Thank you so much. I was wondering what those were for, and,
Yeah.
and that's a very meaningful gesture, right? And
Yeah.
it's really tough, you know. Countless examples of pumping gas. Just I'm unaware of my surroundings, and a seemingly normal, college age girl would come out of the gas station and I'm not kidding, walk right up to me, give me the finger, and get back in her car and drive off without saying a word.
Yeah.
Right? And so the thing about this, and I want to make this very clear, the reason I didn't pick anybody is because I didn't want to lead those two women on, you know? And I'm not trying to sound like a Boy Scout here. I didn't fall in love. The basis of the show, fall in love and propose to somebody.
One question I have to
Ask away.
Coming into the show,
Yes.
were you actually trying or expecting or trying to gear yourself of like, I really might marry one of these people?
I'll tell you exactly
it
what I
real?
was thinking. It was 100% real. And I love that question. I've answered that as many times as I can, because when I went into that, my mindset was this: you never know who you're going to meet, when you're going to meet them, and what that's going to do. Meaning, I could very well meet my wife.
Yeah.
I was definitely hopeful, you know, but when we were doing the initial interview, this is another story that I've told countless times, but I looked into the camera and said, hey, I might not be the right person. If I don't feel it, I won't pick anybody.
Yeah.
And that actually saved me at the end. It's a long story. And so I went in there hopeful. I mean, because it's still to this day, I believe you can walk into 7-Eleven and meet the love of your life.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you're telling me that you handpicked 25 beautiful women, pretty much accomplished in their own right, and looking for the same thing. And so chances are pretty good. I mean, let's give it a shot.
What is it like internally to have a plethora of
Yeah.
women that you don't know
Sure.
that are showing up in hopes of being with you?
Insane.
Like what is internally that I just can't even imagine.
I'm going to say, I'll answer that question the
Like
best
these are
way.
people you don't know, but they're here for you, and it's like in a romantic context.
Exactly. And remember, this was the time they knew nothing about me.
Mm-hmm.
They knew nothing about me. They didn't see me on The Bachelorette, knew my background
Social
or
media
anything.
was not what it is.
Social
now,
media
right?
wasn't there. It wasn't
Yeah.
around. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe MySpace, but Jesus, I'm old. But anyway,
I remember.
So I'll say, standing up there on night one with Chris Harrison, and the first limo pulls up. I was shaking so bad, and only because, again, imposter syndrome. I mean, what if they're all disappointed? What if they see this guy standing up there and this is not the Prince Charming that they were hoping for?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure a lot of those girls had that feeling like, well, I'm just not into him. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's human
normal.
nature.
Yeah.
That's human nature. So, but I was just a ball of nerves. I didn't think I deserved to be there. I didn't think I belonged to be there. I did my very best, and so, but again, the after effects of the show and everything, and then I really felt like, well, they chose the wrong person because, I didn't pick anybody. And, I know, and so, but yeah, it has significantly impacted my life. Some very good and some very, very bad.
Yeah. I am curious, right? So you've been at, this was a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And there's the after effects since. But if you had advice to give of someone that was going from a normal life into a much more public setting where there might be a lot of attention on them, as far as how you deal with that internally, like, I guess, what have you learned over the years, and like, what would you advise to someone in terms of like, here's how you got to think about things?
Absolutely. It's funny because it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Because some people salivate for attention.
Yeah.
I mean, they do. I mean, some people, in that world, I've heard people say, I don't care, I just want to get on TV. I just want to get on TV, and just to become, quasi-famous, right? I mean, I call it our 15 seconds. I don't even know if it's 15 minutes. They definitely chew you up and spit you out when they're done with you, I mean, you're old news quick. But for a person like me, what I would tell them.
What I would also say is,
please,
you strike me, and based on what we're saying, like, in a stereotypical way, people probably wouldn't expect that you are as sensitive as you are.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you. I think.
No, in a good way, but like you care about what other people think. Right?
Yes,
it's
I do,
probably
man.
Really hard for you to not, be affected if you're getting all this negative feedback.
Right, and I'll tell you the best way I can tell you in a real world example. I won't name his name, but one of the bachelors after me called me before he decided to go on.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, I just got to ask. I knew, and it was before, well, I don't want to give anything away. But anyway, so out of respect to him, and it's not like I'm giving away anything, but he said, "Hey, look, man, I know you've been dragged through the mud."
Yeah.
His words, "You seemingly are a really good dude. Am I doing the right thing? What advice would you give?" And the only thing I would tell anybody is, you really have to have a true sense of self, right? And so I would have to rely on that a little bit about saying, okay, look, I know internally I'm a good person, right? I mean, even though I'm looking at every single checkout stand while getting groceries, at 2 or 3 magazine covers, Us Weekly, People, whatever, The Jerk, and this, Who Does He Think He
God, I would
Is, and
hate that.
Worst Bachelor in History. I mean, that's a true story. I couldn't go anywhere for a while.
I probably saw your magazines when I was a kid in my
I'm
small
sure.
town grocery store.
I'm sure you thought
my
that guy's a
mom
jerk.
loved like People, US.
Oh yeah.
So.
People was actually really good to me, thank God. But everyone else kind of beat me up a little bit until they had to sell more magazines for round 2, and then of course the Golden Child again. It's just also.
Did it make you mad?
Oh yeah. It actually, mad is a very strong term.
Yeah.
It just made me aware of how that machine that Hollywood is. It's. I mean, I'm a molecule in that whole thing, right? I'm
drop in the ocean.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
And so, did it make me mad? I don't know. I mean, it's just okay. I see what's going on here, right? But anyway, as far as advice, I think you just have to have a true sense of self, right? And so, if you can lay down at night thinking or knowing that you're still the person that you were going into that, then great. And frankly, I had a lot of supporters too reach out and say, "Hey, I think what you did was commendable," and so that kind of kept me going a little bit,
Yeah.
But yeah, it got rough, man.
Yeah, and there's 2 questions here I want to ask. So
Sure.
first, you have an identical twin.
Yeah.
Right? And you go and be the Bachelor, and
Yeah.
your twin still continues in normal life. And
Right.
so how did this impact your relationship? And
Mm-hmm.
also, like, did you feel guilty at all of like, I've really made a name for myself, and but my twin is not directly involved, type of thing?
Man,
Like the splitting of you in a sense.
Sure. And again, I love the question. So, Chad's always been my biggest supporter. Long before, The Bachelor or anything, and vice versa. And so, with that said, absolutely, and it's something I've never talked about, but I carried an immense amount of guilt. Chad has always been extremely well known and loved and frankly revered by his peers. And so, but this was obviously another level of exposure that, no one could recreate unless you go on a television show.
Yeah.
Your twin brother is on Entertainment Tonight, and Jay Leno and Ellen. And I always wondered, but I got to tell you, man, sure, I think it's undeniable that it might have had a negative impact on him, just thinking, well, did I lose my brother? Am I doing enough? I don't want to speak for Chad. I just know how he thinks.
Yeah.
And I would think that if Chad got selected to do something, am I doing enough? Am I doing my part?
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, there were times that I did wonder about that. And so, but again, as far as support and being there from the second I got home, it kind of all of that kind of dissipated any of those feelings of am I breaking away from my brother,
Yeah.
One, I would never even allow that to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess for a time period, it kind of
Yeah.
was happening,
I guess
right?
like how I can relate in my very
please.
small example is
Yeah.
like senior year in high school.
Yeah.
I'm on the homecoming court. And
Yeah.
and my twin isn't. Right?
Yeah.
And so I was there and I was like, fuck, I feel bad about this.
That's a perfect example, man, because in high school, it was, those feelings, you're such
Like, I'd rather not be on the court
Me too.
than hurt him
Yeah.
by him being like, well, Mitchell's on and I'm not.
Absolutely, man. And let me tell you, Chad has had some accomplishments that I'm sure he's felt that, I hate that Brad didn't accomplish this too, It was just in such a big public setting
Yeah.
that, I'm sure it was compounded. And so
It's a pressure of sorts, right? And pressure
Sure.
brings out, cracks in us as human beings.
Sure.
Like, it really, there are the good parts of yourself and quote unquote the bad parts of yourself. When you
Yeah.
apply pressure, right? the seams of who you are as a person and things that can come out under the right circumstances in a bad way, right? It brings it out, right?
Well, I'll tell you that on that note too, and I just thought of this. It's very thought-provoking what you're asking, but you know, when I came back and I would try to work, it was impossible. I mean, literally, we were in bars and nightclubs, and Mitchell, I'd be walking through working and grabbed and prodded and pulled in pictures, and I get that that's part of it.
Like you're a trophy of some sort.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I had to come to them and say, guys, I can't work. I mean, I can't work right now. And I'm sure they thought, well, who does this guy think he is, you know? And I'm thinking, I mean, I literally can't do my job.
Right. Like I want to be just able to do my job.
Absolutely. And so, and it caused a little bit, if I'm being very honest, a little bit of tension.
I'm sure, yeah.
Especially amongst Chad and I, because I mean, we've done everything together all of our lives.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, again, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm sure there was a little bit of, man, this might be going to this dude's head, and you know, F that, I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
And we butted heads a little bit during that period, and but now, I mean, yeah, we're.
Yeah. I mean, I think any relationship in life worth having that lasts for a long time, right? It's built on forgiveness.
Sure.
Right? Of tolerance, of giving each other grace, right? And seeing them for, you know, the best parts of themselves, and these rounds of forgiveness where people perhaps don't live quite up to what you know they're capable of in the relationship, and
sure,
you work through it. And
sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're closer than ever now, and I mean, even then too. But that's such a thought-provoking question, you know, and so, do you? I want to ask this, and the homecoming example is the perfect example, but still to this day, when you think of something like that, does it make you heartsick in any way, or have you guys moved past that? And
like
meaning,
like if I accomplish something?
Yeah, well, even thinking back to the actual homecoming and yeah, me too. I mean,
sure.
you obviously have a tender heart, and that's why I'm asking that.
Like that, when I think back, you know, so I'll also say this, I won't go into too much detail, but your twin has had some struggles, I think, with addiction.
He has.
Right. My twin has had some struggles, and
yeah,
when I think back, like I can think of an example in high school where, I don't know, I could be moody as a teenager, right?
Yeah.
And Matthew said something to me that I didn't like, and so I really mocked him back, got very sarcastic, right? And this really upset him, so he tried to punch me, right? And he missed, and I like made fun of him, like, you think like you could ever even get to me, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And when I think back on that, I'm like, I can't believe, you know, that I wasted what could have been, you know, some really precious time with Matthew on something, you know, like in a way harming him.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Like
and
that hurts.
Yeah. Do you, and I don't want to, trust me, man, I don't want to expose anything that you don't want to discuss, but with your twin brother's struggles, what's that like for you on a daily basis? Meaning, it's obviously acknowledged, but I mean, what do you just show up automatically on a daily basis? And what am I trying to ask here?
I think I kind of get it. But
yeah, please. No, please answer it, Dan.
Yeah, you know, so my brother was diagnosed with a pretty serious, you know, mental health condition, my twin brother, when we were 26. I'm 29 now.
Okay.
When he got diagnosed, I was just beginning a chemistry PhD program on the East Coast at Brown University.
Wow.
Right? And he was back in Iowa, right? And so here I am, like in a research lab, working on a particular scientific topic. But upon his diagnosis, I was like, I'm in this unique position, and that I have professional capability to go and perhaps make a difference in terms of the illness that he has. Now it's required, you know, me pivoting and getting myself kind of positioned to do so, to go from like chemistry to something that's like neuroscience, right? But I knew I was going to work towards that, and it hasn't fully materialized. But and kind of my thinking there is, when it comes to, you know, I'm just going to say it, schizophrenia, right? Our ability to treat it, we're still in the Stone Ages in terms of this type of stuff. Like, if schizophrenia is not going well, one of the medications that you may use literally just blocks, right, dopamine receptors in the head, right? And so it stops maybe some of the bad symptoms, but it's also like just numbs a person out, right? Imagine if your dopamine receptors are no longer available. And so we're in the Stone Ages with this stuff, and although I can't cure my brother, right, or fix him,
Yeah.
right, I can hopefully go to work here on, trying to keep writing in the book of knowledge and learn more about, schizophrenia, and in hopes towards actually being able to help others more effectively that have it. So it's kind of been, there's many reasons I'm doing this, like, podcast and writing and public stuff, but that is like my aim. I'm like, that is one of my primary aims with all this, is how do I get myself in a position where I can say I want to go to work on this problem and actually be able to do so, to have the right group of people or network around me or the resources to try and make a difference there. So
I love that.
that's
man.
my way of loving my brother, and like I said, it hasn't fully materialized, but that's what I think.
I love it, and I share the same. I'm extremely proud of Chad for being so open and honest about his struggles.
The thing is, with these types of things too, it's like, sure, is there a risk that people are going to take judgment on things that I share about myself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, even if you have a good life is hard. We all have things.
Yes,
right?
we do.
So, to say that I have addiction or my brother has schizophrenia, like, I don't know, maybe it makes people uncomfortable, but that's the reality. Right?
Absolutely.
It's not, why, if that's real, why would we hide that, right?
I got to tell you, Mitchell, I respect the man or woman that is very open and honest about any kind of struggle, addiction, mental health issue, anything like that, than the ones that are kind of hiding it or masking it by self-medicating, things like that,
Yeah.
And I applaud anybody for kind of getting on center stage and in an effort to help others.
Yeah.
And I've witnessed my brother through this, me personally, I know what it takes. Chad's always been the most raw, authentic, and honest person that I've encountered. I mean, and it almost comes across brash sometimes,
Sure.
But he's not that at all. And so witnessing this, I'm so proud. And so that's why I was asking about showing up for him on a daily basis. It's
Yeah.
hell, I have my own struggles too that Chad helps me with,
For sure. So I call him. and,
Yeah,
I can't directly fix the problem.
Sure.
But I can try to do what I can.
Yeah.
With like, being educated in a particular way, or just being me, I guess. So.
Yeah.
One question I have, this is a little bit of a pivot, but
Sure.
you mentioned that if you were to give advice for someone that's coming into a lot of attention, that you're going to get negative feedback, that the most important thing is kind of having like a North Star sense of yourself.
Right.
When you look back, right, do you ever feel like you lost your sense of self? And then did you ever look at Chad and be like, that there is my sense of self in some way?
Yeah. Sure did, man. And the reason I laughed when you asked that, I wasn't laughing at the question. I was laughing at myself, only because I'm just going to be brutally honest. I don't know if I have a true sense of self. I've been exploring that.
Yeah.
I'm confident in the way I carry myself at times, but I don't know if I have a true sense of self. I've struggled with that.
Yeah.
And all my life. And
do you find yourself asking that internally, like, who am I?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I admire to no end the individuals that are as confident in who they are.
Yeah.
Without fear of judgment or opinion, frankly, of others. Anyway, to go back to your question, absolutely. I would think of my family in general. Whenever I would find myself just completely lost, and especially my grandmother, who I mentioned earlier, and just how I should carry myself, But then I've always known and removed the Bachelor, even in the oil fields when I was gone from home for months, years, wondering what I'm going to do in life, right? I would always, if nothing else, knew I had Chad, and
like I can get back to base in a sense.
That, and not only as a home base, but I'm going to tell you this, and twin brother or not, I tell him this, I'm not kidding, almost every other day, we're very vocal about our feelings. And anyway, and I tell him this, I mean it, but to me, Chad's the best man I know. And the reason I mean that, or say that, is the honesty. He does not care what others think of him in the fact of like trying to keep up with the Joneses and stuff, you know? And so what that does is lend to credibility or authenticity, right? And so I've always, if I feel like I'm getting lost, I think, okay, well, what would Chad do? And it's helped me immensely.
I would say this, being an individual and, you know, accepting, or I guess having the courage to be disliked. It sounds like you've noticed that in your twin, but you've also demonstrated that, right? Like,
sure,
you walked away, you didn't, you know, do what everyone wanted you to do and pick a woman. I think you were also even offered like checks behind the scenes.
I was.
And,
you're very well informed.
Yeah. So it's, when I say you've done at least at some time, you've demonstrated the same quality of like, if everyone's putting their right foot forward, but I don't agree, like, I'm not doing it.
Thank you, man, very much. And I'll tell you this, one thing, I'll never, ever do anything that I don't fully believe in, and I'll never sell out, and ever. And so I appreciate the acknowledgement then, you know, because I think I care a little too much about people liking me. I do try to keep up with the Joneses. That's a problem of mine. And that Chad gets on to me all the time about. And hell, that might be my addiction right there. But I appreciate that, man. And yes, I am confident in the fact that, hey, there's a saying about, it's Ed Milet. I don't know if you know him. He's a famous podcaster, very well-known guy. And I'm not going to try to repeat it verbatim, but if you look, you might appreciate this.
What's his name?
It's Ed Milet. I believe that's
Ed
his.
Milet?
Ed, E-D,
oh, Ed.
and Milet.
Yeah, I don't know this.
Okay, interesting, because he's a very, very well-known guy, and I think you'd appreciate his views.
Sure.
But anyway, he came out with this, and there's a saying that he has, and don't be a nice guy, be a good man. And in certain situations, when you're feeling compromised, don't be nice and compromise your beliefs, be a good man and stand true to who you are. And I think about that a lot. And so I try to be a good man, and that doesn't necessarily mean being a nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's this difference between being nice and being kind.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Nice can be kind of nefarious. And also, another point I want to make, and then we'll kind of wrap this together, is I went through a very difficult situation with this person who had power over me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get accountability or justice for it.
Okay.
Right? And I had to make a big sacrifice, you know, in terms of reputation and in my profession to try and get accountability for this, to like speak up about it. You don't do that in academia. You don't say this person above me did this, right? That's a no-no. And so I had a choice to make, and I did it.
Yeah.
Right? And I had one of my mentors that I really look up to, and a guy that, he was actually my therapist for a while, but when I talked to him about it and this decision, he was like, Mitchell, I know you, and he's like, live by your values despite the consequences. Just stay true to that, and it'll be all right. And, so.
Well, let me ask, how'd that turn out for you? How do you feel about yourself after that situation?
It's been a little process. I mean, I got pretty bad PTSD from it.
Yeah.
I'd say it really fractured my when something of that sort happens and you actually end up with, say, like PTSD, like, you're lost. You don't know who you are anymore, right? It entirely broke my sense of self. And you kind of have two choices as you come back from something really difficult like that. Like, if you don't do anything, the most common result is you become kind of bitter and jaded towards the world, and you kind of retreat from it, right? But through a process of a lot of hard work, there's also another path where you come out of it, you're not the same person after. You're changed by something, you know, to that degree. But through hard work, you can come back, you know, into believing that most people are mostly good most of the time, right? And deciding to live with that assumption that most people are mostly good, right? And not to be so on the lookout of like, am I going to run into, you know, another person that I would say is downright malicious or is capable of that and would do that type of thing, right? So,
do you find, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, do you find that you carry not a jaded perspective, but a better filter for individuals that you might accept it? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like, I mean, and that's also a really common response to having been traumatized by another human being is you become, this sounds like egotistical and stuff, but
No, please.
your ability to notice things or sense things in others that you're like, this isn't something I would want truly around me, like
Yeah.
much sharpened after that. And
Understood.
still an evolving process in me even understanding what that means, but like much more careful, right, in terms of who I let in and more intentional with
Sure.
that type of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
How about you?
Well, you know, I think I've always had, and can I say one foul word? It's okay.
Yeah.
I want to keep this professional, but I've always had a good filter for bullshit.
Yeah.
Always, and call it the bar guy in me. I mean, think of that, you know, and actually even in the oil fields, I mean, like the guys out there, you don't put up with bullshit,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't know if I ever had a problem with that, right? And so, but I'll tell you this, of who I let into my life, and it's for no other reason than I just want a very, very, very close circle of people. Maybe my trust in things has been broken a little bit.
Yeah, mine got it. Are
yeah.
you familiar with the just world fallacy?
No.
So the just world fallacy is what we all typically live under, in the sense that we believe that if we work hard and are good to other people,
Yeah.
good things will happen to us and nothing catastrophic, will happen if I just work hard and do good things. But
Yep.
that's not actually true.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's a fallacy. Sometimes you run into things that you didn't deserve, right? That are just, I don't know what else to say, horrible.
Yeah.
Right? And so that fractures the just world fallacy in terms
Yeah.
of your belief of, if I just work hard and do good things will happen to me. Right?
Yeah.
So much of the work of coming back from something, really horrible,
Right.
is reconvincing yourself of the just world fallacy, that if I work hard and do good things will happen. Right?
Okay.
Like restoring that. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. And I'm glad you're doing better. I mean, it sounds rough, whatever you went through. And
Yeah, no, it's
so, well,
it's not the point. The point is,
Yeah.
what you learn from it. But yeah.
Well, sure. And even having that mindset, though, shows immense maturity and growth, right? But, sometimes I'm a believer that I'm almost grateful for some of those situations that we're thrust into.
Yeah.
Because it shapes and molds who we are. And I mean, obviously, especially after, of course, being beat up so badly nationally, no doubt shaped who I am now. And so I definitely developed thicker skin. I'll say that.
Sure,
yeah, much thicker. And so now, I mean, if someone comments something and whatever, it's people are entitled to their opinions.
Yeah, I try to tell myself, I'm like, that's their judgment. It's not mine.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
I know my intentions. I
Yeah.
know what I'm up to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's, whatever you do, if I were to do nothing, people would talk about me doing nothing.
Of course.
Man, get out there and do something.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
they're always going to talk. So
There you go.
so you get done with The Bachelor.
Yeah.
You have some years. It sounds like you did some therapy, working on maybe some attachment stuff, right?
Of course.
What was the process of coming back and being The Bachelor the second time? Like, why did you do that? I'm
Yeah.
sure you've been asked this before, but I'm curious.
Yeah. So I didn't expect to, of course, and but they asked. They ABC had called, and I forget how long afterwards. It was a 3-year span between that and then when I went back, but they came calling, and my initial reaction to anybody that would call was no, and so. But I'll tell you, man, and I've actually tried to dissect this somewhat internally, privately.
Yeah.
Of why, and was I seeking redemption for myself? Was I trying to be a good guy in the public eye again?
Yeah,
I'm really trying to dissect that.
Like a sense of I want to make things right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, for my own self, and meaning, here's my chance to, improve my public image, and that's an embarrassing thing to admit, but maybe I did, and but there's also a chance, Mitchell. I promise you, man, I meant it when I said that I do believe you can find love. Not only on that show, as ridiculous as some people think it is, but in any setting. So I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
And and also I don't like failing at things, and I felt like an immense failure.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it took Chris Harrison, the host, who is a very good friend of mine.
I was gonna say you guys are good friends. Right?
Love that dude.
Yeah.
And have nothing but good things to say about him. And he was really good to me on that show. And I think our personalities clicked. Anyway, he called and he said, well, everyone has told me you're going to say no, but I want to hear it for myself. Would you consider it? So, well, man, if you're asking, I might have to think about this, you know, and then the rest is history, right? Sure. But at the time I was single, of course. And again, I had been mulling over, you know, and I'll say this too, excuse me. I'll say this too. That experience is fun. I mean, think about it. You're traveling and you're meeting some people that you never would have met in your
just
life.
Being like tended to.
Yeah. And so it's a fun experience. And so, but I really did go into it a second time thinking, okay, well, here's a second chance, you know, why not? Nobody gets a second chance in this world.
You were the first one.
And let's go, you know, first of many, I guess. I mean, I had many first times in that experience. But
were you scared?
Yes.
Because of, you know, how it all shaped out with the first one?
Oh,
in
yeah.
terms of, like, this affected my psyche and people, like, kind of hate me and I've kind of been dehumanized in a way, like.
Yep, I sure was. And that came to a head. I'll tell you, that fear and anxiety came to a head. It's Ellen DeGeneres asked me on her show.
I saw in my notes
that
you had something happen, some story with Ellen DeGeneres or something.
Well, Ellen had called me a jerk nationally when I didn't pick anybody, but in her defense, and it felt great, but she invited me back and apologized to me and said, hey, now I know the real story and all of that, and that was great. But what I'm getting at, the first show that I did on the return was her show. And I bombed, man. I was such a wreck. And then it hit me that I'm really doing this. Does that make sense?
What do you mean by really doing this?
Like, I'm really going to do this a second time. I'm really doing this to myself again.
Yeah.
And all the excitement was gone. I'm just being honest with you, man. I mean, like, all of the convincing myself this is such a great opportunity. This is great. And all of that happiness and excitement and all of that.
The frills and novelty of it was gone.
And I don't know, it was a physiological feeling that the second that I walked into her green room, and I didn't want to do the interview. I mean, obviously I don't have that choice, right? But you can noticeably tell. And on that interview, I've watched it one time, I'll never watch it again. And she even knew. I mean, I bombed.
Yeah, just not
the publicist, when I walked back into the room, and she was such a sweet girl. She's like, that just wasn't good, Brad. That just wasn't good.
It's not gonna cut it.
No, that's not good. And so it's just kind of like I had more of a feeling of what have I done, as opposed to yes, I get a second chance.
Did you ever feel like internally like I've really fucked my life up?
Well, I'll tell you this. Yes, but it was season 1, and let me tell you, so. I had the producers and everything constantly say, you don't know how your life's about to change. You just don't. You don't know how. And I'd, okay, great, and whatever. And for whatever reason, it was the night before the first rose ceremony. We had done everything, and I was in the house in Malibu, this beautiful house in Malibu, all alone. It was 3 a.m., and I woke up, and I was drenched out of panic attack. And realizing it was the first time that it hit me that my life was, and I had oh man, like I said, I've always been a private guy.
Like it was happening, but it was kind of like surreal, and then it would like really kind of finally hit home.
Oh, this is it. My life is never going to be the same. And I remember walking through the hallways, kind of against the wall, kind of having to stabilize myself just slowly, you know?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't
panic attacks are terrible.
They are.
You can know what's happening, but they're horrible.
That's it. Yeah. And do the whole box breathing, anyway. But, and I remember vividly thinking, dude, this isn't you. You don't want to do this. Your life is over.
Yeah.
Screw publicity, screw fame, and I'm doing air quotes because what does that even mean, man?
Yeah.
I'm a cheesy reality star, dude. I mean, that's not famous, man.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but and so that's a great question. But it was season 1 and then after that, you know, again, some of the excitement stuff outweighed some of that. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't change the past, right?
No,
So
you cannot.
It's you
Yeah.
come to terms with however it shook out, and
That's it.
try to make the best of times to come.
That's it.
And so you get done with The Bachelor,
Yeah.
right? The second time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you improve your public reputation? I'm not sure.
I did, yeah. It's funny because, and it was more because of Emily Maynard. So I wound up with Emily Maynard.
Yes, I saw you got engaged.
Yeah, I did. And I've got to say this, and I try to say this as often as I can. She's a phenomenal human being, man. Very kind, sweet, and all of that. And you talk about America's sweetheart. People loved her, and I think that's why my public image was raised.
Yeah.
You know, because just being beside her. And I say that kind of lightheartedly, but you know, obviously we didn't work out. That fizzled quickly, and you get back to normal life. Nothing is sacred in that relationship. Meaning, you have nothing in a real relationship. You have moments that form bonds,
Yeah.
and I call those. I had a psychiatrist tell me this, but we didn't have any of those sacred bonds because everything was in the public eye. We try to go walk hand in hand down by the lake and look over it. I mean, this has happened.
Like you never really got to be together, just you
Never.
two, right?
Never. She had a daughter, and I remember we tried to go to the movies one time, and that's one thing where I draw the line if people are trying to exploit her daughter, right?
Sure.
And we were walking to the car, and I see, like, scattered throughout the parking lot, I can't make this up, 6 to 8 different photographers. And then finally I said, hey guys, please, man, we're with her daughter. And they were actually cool, and they backed off. But even that, like, I can't get to know her daughter. Her daughter can't get to know me.
Zoo animal.
That's it. Like, who's this guy, and why are people following my mom?
Yeah.
You know, and so, and then when she tried to visit in Austin, same thing, man. Where we could go nowhere, so we had nothing sacred. So that fizzled quickly.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And so, but thank you very much. But yes, public image did improve. I was on good behavior the second season, you know, and so yeah, it improved, and that was great, and publicity went really well after the fact, great, and so and that was good, yeah. I mean, yeah, so it did improve.
And then so you get done with that, and like, you know, it's been many years since, right?
Sure.
You own some bars, and you're
Yeah,
close to
yeah.
your twin, and
Yeah.
like, I am curious. How do I ask this? What do you see as like your purpose now?
Man, you just asked the $1 million question, and I'll tell you
That's
what I
a
mean
hard
by
question.
that. It is. It's excruciating to try to figure that out, and I'll tell you why. Man, I've never. You know what? I'll save that conversation, but I've always the one thing that I admire about me, right, the most is work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
I love just doing something hard and working.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not working right now. You know, I think you're very well aware we sold our entire company a year and a half ago, and you know, bills are paid and stuff like that. But, buddy, I have no purpose right now, and I find myself extremely lost. I find myself suffering from that anxiety that creeped up way back when I was filming
Purpose
the
is
show.
important.
It is everything.
Yeah.
To driven, because you're one of them, and I will categorize myself as being very driven, and it's not to chase a dollar. I just want purpose, right? And so, even towards the end of our bar career, I kind of lost purpose. I'll tell you why. Because we had such a good upper management team that the businesses were kind of on autopilot, and I remember vividly discussing this with my partners, like, man, I just don't feel fulfilled anymore, man. I want to do more, you know? And that was at our height of our career. And so anyway, to answer your question, I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I damn sure don't want to be the guy that used to be on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy that used to own all these bars. I don't want to be the guy that, he does some pretty hard endurance events at times, you know, athletic stuff. Even though I'm not an athlete, I don't want to, works out hard, whatever. I don't want to be any of that.
Yeah.
I just want to be like, oh, dude, if you know Brad, he's at work right now doing something that fuels his passion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot younger than you, but I've definitely had some periods of time where I really felt lost as to what my
Did
purpose
you?
is. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not there now, thankfully, but
Yeah.
I've answered those questions as always, when I've went from not sure what my purpose is to knowing what my purpose is, it
Yep.
lies in
Yep.
getting really honest with other people.
Yes.
Right? And honest with people that will be honest with me.
Yes.
Right? About their understanding of me. And then in kind of getting out of me and into other people in the sense of like, if I'm devoid of purpose, can I help other people at least start
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah,
What can
yeah,
I
yeah.
do to help? And I don't know, things just kind of, the thing is, if you're really, really, really honest, if you get good at being able to explain, this is what's going on with me, this is what I think, right? And you get people that are honest with you back,
Yeah.
it's kind of like if you imagine a map, right? And let's say there's like a destination that you want to get to on the map, but you
Yeah.
don't know what it is, right? And you can't like see the whole map. But if you get really honest with other people, you start explaining, hey, here's where I'm at on the map. And if they're honest with you, they're like, oh, like, Brad, you got to like move over here a little bit, right? And
Yep.
then through that process,
Yeah.
you start to understand the map and how I'm going to get, to a particular place. And,
Man, I need to pay you for this therapy session because I'm dead serious, because what you're saying is making perfect sense. And it's funny, I was just talking to Chad, might have been just 2 days ago, but the way I'm going to try to explain how my mind is the place my mind is at right now regarding purpose.
Yeah.
I'm searching for something to do, but there's so many, it's almost like herding cats in my mind. There's so many directions that I could or want to go to.
You've got the resources, right? to do some
Sure,
stuff. Yeah.
but still, man, it's so difficult. In that map, would that be a metaphor or analogy?
I think either works.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, I
Analogy
really
is
like
probably
that.
more appropriate.
Yeah, I really, really like that because I'm salivating for anybody, and no one can give you direction that you need to go to, but to say, hey, you might need to meet me here.
Yeah.
In order to find your purpose, right?
I think about it. Have you seen like Lord of the Rings?
I haven't, and I need to go down that road, man.
That'd probably be good for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But there's this like little dude called Frodo.
Yeah.
He's a
Now I
hobbit,
know Frodo. Yeah.
right? And normal life.
Yep.
Someone comes to him and is like, "Oh my God, I need you to do this thing, and your whole life's gonna change," right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "What? Like me? Why would you have me do this?" And it's like gonna be a real burden that's gonna be put on him.
Yeah.
He also doesn't know quite exactly what he's getting into, but
Yeah.
he like kind of begrudgingly is like, okay, like yes, I'll do it. And he starts trying to, at some points, really try to do it alone, and it gets really hard and the burden is heavy. But he's
Yeah.
got like the right people around him that's
Yeah.
like, dude, we're not giving up. This ring needs to go to this place. We need to destroy this thing, right? And getting the right people around him that at times also can shoulder some of that burden from him.
Yeah.
And still be like, dude, we got to get over there.
I need
I
to
don't know.
watch this.
It'll be really, it's
Yeah.
good. I've written a little bit about this publicly too, just like this like analogy, but
Okay.
that's kind of how I think of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get lost on the map. It's all right, and sometimes we also change where we want to go on the map. And
See, I like that, man. And I'll tell you right now, I'll admit all day long, I feel lost.
Yeah.
I do. I feel, and I don't like that feeling. I'm not grounded.
it's confusing.
It is. It's very confusing. That's the perfect word. And when, Oldfield's 10 years, Bar's 23 years, that's, over 3 decades of consistent purpose, so to speak, you
Yeah.
know, and, or at least knowing where you are on the map,
Yeah.
And so anyway, right now I'm in this phase that, I like what you said about helping others, because that's one thing I would like to say is I at least try to help anybody in any way possible.
You helped me. You might not realize it. Like when I was working in that cafe, I was a pretty broken person, right? And
thank you for saying that.
not
man.
confident and
Yeah.
really lost in terms of who I was, and
Yeah.
although not some huge deal, but you showing up and being like kind, right, and looking each person, including me, like eye to eye, and like, hey, how you doing? What's going on with you, right? Like,
Well, thank you,
you
man.
tilted me towards perhaps doing the next right thing and trying to help others just a little bit, but it's like that stuff that it counts and it matters.
I appreciate that very much, and I really do, Mitchell. And so, yeah, and just trying to figure out what's next, And so I have a long life to live, man, and a lot more life left. And so, yeah, I just want to.
Sounds like you're a good uncle.
I try, my. It's funny because Anytime I think of her, I might get choked up. I'm not going to do this
That's
to
all
you.
right.
I'm really not.
It's happened.
But-
I've choked up on this before. So.
But no, I'm not. But I have 2 nieces, 1 nephew, and my little brother's kids. We're getting closer, and I love it. I love it because they're great kids. My twin brother's kid, Skylar, is truly my favorite human on this planet, man. And I was fortunate enough. If I would live with them at times, I'd say I was buying a home, and anyway. So I watched her grow up, and I mean, like, I'm talking at the breakfast table and feeding her at times, and now to see what a remarkable young young kid, all 3 of those kids are, but there's I'm just closer to her by default, and to see how truly remarkable of a young woman she is just melts my heart, and so I love seeing her prosper.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine, I don't know, love is like kind of this transcendent thing we experience, right? And every love is different. Like, they all kind of have their own very unique character, but it's like such a powerful force in terms of there is purpose in love. Right?
Oh man, well, I've told her this a couple times, but I would never try to replace her parents, and I told you, I couldn't replace her parents.
You're a doppelganger.
I know, right? Maybe I could actually, but by appearance alone. But the thing about it is, I told you I knew early I didn't want children of my own, but I'll tell you this: I consider her my own child. I do. I just do, I feel immensely grateful to have all 3 of those kids in my life, and
For sure.
Especially Sky.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
What else do we want to hit here? It's we'll cut these little moments out. So
Oh, it's all good, man.
I think, what do I want to hit? Okay, when you think of Brad Womack,
Yeah.
at like 80 years old,
Yeah.
what the hell do you imagine?
It's funny. I think about that often, and what am I going to be doing at 80 years old? And I picture myself. I hope I want a very quiet life, and I mean very quiet life. I've always said, you put me in a small cabin in the mountains, and I'm fine. And frankly, I don't know if that's with a significant other or not. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask, where are you at dating wise?
yeah, well, I don't know the answer to that. And I'll tell you what I mean by it when I say that. I was dating a girl, and truly, Mitchell, if I'm being honest, what I would consider the love of my life.
Right.
My past relationship, just inherently kind woman. But I moved to Scottsdale to chase a potential career opportunity.
Yeah.
And that distance, I think, was the beginning of our demise, right? And so anyway, and to be honest too, because I don't have purpose and can't show up for myself,
I would say you don't have purpose right now. You're figuring it out.
I'm figuring it out. Yeah.
I have another analogy that'll share it back, but keep going.
Please, okay, yeah. And we're getting kind of deep here, and I hope that's okay. But
Oh yeah, this is the point. Yeah.
okay, fair enough.
This is what I like.
So right now, if I can't show up for myself, which I don't think I am, how can I show up for anybody else, especially someone like her, And so we had a very loving, respectful, amicable conversation about, hey, we need to go our separate ways.
Yeah.
Do I hold out on hope that we circle back around one day? I'll admit I do. She might not.
Yeah.
I mean, she could be right now with the love of her life. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, I'm kind of being funny to deflect actual pain, But
Sure.
it's just one of those things. But I'll tell you, one thing she struggled with, and I have to openly admit, I've never wanted to be attached at the hip in any relationship, right? I've always been immensely comfortable being alone.
Like, let Brad be Brad.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I mean alone, and I'm not running around. I've never cheated on a woman at all, but I mean, I can go. I mean, hell, in oil fields, months without seeing anybody that I'm dating, And at times I'm not the most nurturing guy because I just don't need that constant reassurance from a partner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just is what it is. We're together. That's great. Let's just live. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard on people in relationships with
Yeah.
me. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine, I mean, at some level, I don't know for sure, but I'm also not a psychologist, but I would speculate, right? Like when a parent in some sense or a really important figure, you know, harms a child through like abandonment or neglect, like the response that typically happens, right, is that the child is like, I need to be really independent and able to rely on myself, and I can't count on other people, right?
Yep.
And it's actually beneficial to be that way growing up. It's probably advantageous, right? That probably helped you,
Right.
You know, be able to do your own things and be really self-sufficient. And it sounds like you've done that, you know, through hard work. So advantageous as a child, but as you get into adulthood, right, that hyper independence, you know, can actually cause, you know, harm and dysfunction in relationships.
Man, it's again, you're just so intuitive and frankly, again, just talking to Chad about seeking out. I'm going to start therapy again,
Yeah.
To try to address that, and only because you're right. Fear of being abandoned is like, it's almost like I know I'm going to be left, and so I'm just going to handle everything on my own,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be damned if I let anybody kind of infiltrate my heart,
Right.
that can hurt me.
Like
you
you're
know?
kind of expecting the ball to drop at some
Absolutely.
point. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so throughout a relationship, it's almost constant anxiety, constant fear of that ending or, you know, losing that. And so I'm very almost standoffish in a way. There are times I think I express love in very...
Right, where you're close and you pull away a little bit. Close.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and it wreaks havoc on the other person, you know. And so, yeah. And again, I know that's a deep conversation, but you know, I'm trying to curb that. But again, and we've talked about this with her. I've talked about this with her. I just want to make this clear. You just asked 80 years old. You know, I've said this exact thing at 80 years old, that being alone actually kind of sounds appealing. And I know that's not good for people to hear when you're in love with somebody.
Yeah, we all are our own people.
We are who we are,
Yeah.
and so because I find such immense comfort in solitude, and I don't know. That's why I go. You know, I'll go on hiking trips all alone, and so I love that feeling of
Yeah.
being alone.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely have times where I'm like, I have so many things I'm thinking about. Like, I need like myself in silence. Right?
Yeah.
Not my headphones in. Just
Yeah.
like I need, and it's not even that I'm trying to think. It's like it's just happening, and I'm like, I gotta like digest what's going on. Here.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. No, I understand. Are you in a relationship right now?
I'm not.
No. Okay. Do you want to be in one?
Definitely at some point.
Okay.
You know, I'm pretty busy right now as far as
Sure.
trying to do a variety of things, and so I mean, if the right person came along,
Yeah.
right, it's never gonna be perfect. That I'm gonna be entirely ready
No, it's
for
not.
it,
Yeah.
right? So if
Yeah.
the right person were to come along, right, you make it work. But
Do you want a family at all?
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, someday. My view is, I mean, also it depends on my partner. Right?
Sure.
I'm not the one who has to get pregnant and have a kid and all of that. Right?
Sure.
So there's a lot of discussion there to be had, right? Just depending on the person. But yeah, I think, you know, all of our lives are going to come to an end someday.
Yeah,
Right? And
of
so
course.
my actual ability in terms of my physical self to continue contributing good will come to an end, right? And the best way, in my view, that I can propagate that good is by having something that outlives me, right? And I'm not going to tell them who to be. I'm going to let them be them, but to hopefully guide them into also being a force of good in the world when I'm not here anymore. So
I love that.
that's kind of what I think. But
Do any of your siblings have children? Are you an uncle?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you close to those?
they're really young, and they're
Okay.
also in Minnesota.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I love
yeah.
them dearly. It's
Yeah.
great when I see them, but
Yeah.
I have 3 nieces.
Okay.
3 nieces so far, and then I know that a 4th niece is coming.
Yeah.
So it's all just been all girls so far, but yeah.
Man, I got to tell you, there's something about little girls and how just loving they are.
Yeah,
You know.
and I think like it really, at least for me, endears a sense of like I want to, you feel like I want to protect this person from
Buddy.
the harms of the world.
Yes, I know that all too well,
Yeah.
and all too well. And even now, I lay awake at night with all 3 of my
Yeah.
nieces and nephew. You know, I mean, they're driving now, and which is insane.
I know, it's weird for me to imagine, like, my nieces.
Yeah, oh, they will be one day.
Yeah.
And first time I saw Sky drive away, I think it was some family gathering, and she drove in her own car, drove away. I turned around, I'm wiping tears from my eyes. You know, I just want to tell her, be careful and all that stuff old people say.
Yeah.
But anyway, life goes on.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's also too, like, in terms of like vulnerability or sharing stuff openly. I always just think, I'm like, all of our lives are going to come to an end,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, like, what? I mean, it matters, but like, I don't know, just go after, do your things, right? Go after what you care about. Say what you want to say. You're not going to be able to say you're going to be able to say what you want to say forever.
That's
Get
right.
it out of you. So,
You know, I love that philosophy, and I've always lived by it. Is I will definitely tell people how I feel.
yeah, wear my heart on my sleeve.
Absolutely.
Here's me.
Yep, exactly. And I admire that in any person, you know, because you're exactly right. You know, we're all on borrowed time, man. We really are. And trust me, man, I am not a philosophical guy.
I don't even mean it in a dark way. Like,
Yeah, no, and I know.
like,
I know.
Like, life, I think, in some sense, is very meaningful because you know the clock's ticking.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like,
That's a good point.
Like, if you had time if you just had unlimited time,
Yep.
like, you know, that impetus that the clock is ticking,
Yeah.
that really gives significance to, like, what am I doing today? What am I doing with my life, right?
Man, you're going to see next week me find a purpose, and just because of what you just said.
I
but-
can only speak
no,
for myself.
No, I
right?
love it.
I'm
No,
not
I
here to,
love
like,
it.
give advice, but I can talk about myself.
Take
so.
advice all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one thing before we end,
Sure.
I've been having one guest to the next
Right.
ask a question that they write.
Okay.
And then the next guest answers it, and then writes a question for the next one.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of my way. I want to have like a continual conversation between people that probably normally wouldn't mix. Like
I
you,
love this.
Like you probably wouldn't have hung out with like the scientist guy I was just with, but he gets to talk to you and ask you a question.
I love this. Okay.
Kind of like bringing people together.
Yes, sir.
And, so if you want to grab this jar up here.
The jar, okay?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Let's see.
And you want to unfold the piece of paper that has the pen attached.
Okay. Wait, I like this.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'll do a compilation eventually where I put them all together, like in video. One of them has a question. I might have
Okay.
two papers in there. Oh, not that one.
Nope,
Other
not
one.
this. Okay. Okay. Oh, wait, I have to. Oh, this man, he knows me without knowing me. I'll tell you exactly what he asked.
What do you ask?
Can you sing your favorite song right now? Is the question. And so, there's a backstory to this. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm sure I'm beat red.
It is fine.
Season 1 of The Bachelor, I had the once in a lifetime experience of meeting Seal, the singer. And actually, we couldn't shake his hand, but anyway. But it was a prelude. We were at the famous Capitol Studios recording, and which was, I mean, just such an experience. Anyway, I had to sing on national television "Kiss of a Rose" or whatever that song is, which is such a hard song to sing. And listen to my voice, Mitchell. Listen, come on, man. And I remember.
We gotta get you like a hat and a guitar.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
man. I remember just being beat red. And so, you know what? I just saw a quote yesterday. No, a friend told me yesterday on some story that said something like, hey, screw trying to be all put together.
Yeah.
Just do something embarrassing and have
Yeah.
some fun with it. Be human.
Yeah.
And I need to live by that. So I'm trying to think of my favorite song, though. Would I go with something with Turnpike Troubadours?
I don't know.
No, I know. I don't know what I would sing. Would I sing? I mean, I'm old school, but
What would
I'm
you
not
sing?
going to dare try to sing Led Zeppelin. Huh?
What would you sing to your nieces?
Oh, okay. What was this? The Barney song.
It'd be iconic if you did that.
Mitchell, if I knew it, I'd sing it. Because I can see him, in
The purple.
the purple thing. And how many times have I sung that song with her? Oh, wait, I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to sing. I'm about to go beat Red.
Dude, it's fine.
And I'm only going to sing one verse,
Yeah.
right? But I'll tell you exactly what it's. Oh man, when I meet this scientist, I'm going to say thanks for nothing, sir.
I sat down with him. He was great. I mean, just
I bet.
like A+ guest. I had the best time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, yeah, you're two intellectuals. Yeah.
But I saw on his like Twitter account that he listed himself as a music junkie.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta ask him about this. What's that mean? So I did, and he was like, yeah, I listen to like opera and classical, and then he was like, and the Black Eyed Peas, and I was like, what?
Wow, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Wait,
It was
well, anyway, you know what? I'm going to go back and listen to that whole episode, and only because I really get interested in all walks of life, of course.
Yeah.
And frankly, I wish I had intellect like you guys. I just do. And
I mean, I wish I was 6'1" and.
Well, you're doing just fine, man. But anyway, I guess we all have things, right? But I admire intellect so much, and this guy obviously, if he's Black Eyed Peas, he seems to not take himself too seriously
Yeah,
too. So.
like an Italian MD, and he's like, I love the song "Where's the Love." So
Yeah, I love that only because I saw his name was Lorenzo or
Leggio, yeah.
Okay, so all I'm going to do, it's going to be Frozen from...
Okay.
Yeah, but all I'm going to sing is Let It Go. That's
Okay.
it.
I love Let It Go.
Those 3 words.
I love this song.
All I'm going to sing is 3 words.
Okay.
But it's, I used to look at her. She had a little Elsa themed party at Alamo Draft House, by the way. Anyway, and I can see her, and so we would both sing, we would look at the screen, and so, oh, Mitchell, I'm never going to live this down. All right. Let it go, let it go. All right, that's all you got. That's it.
He's done.
And so, Mr. Scientist, thank you for nothing. I'm sweating already, and I just ruined this podcast.
Oh, no.
No, but so that's my embarrassing moment. That's all the words I know. So,
Yeah. Well, I think we'll wrap up here, but I want to give you the opportunity just, if there's anything you want to share or like how you would want to finish, like anything that you're like, this would really make this a home run for me as far as like capping things off. So
I'm going to tell you this, and I mean this. From the time you asked me to do this and the ongoing communication over the past, it's a couple weeks, something like that. But more importantly, the questions that you asked today, this has felt much more like just talking to a friend that actually genuinely wants to know about me. And I am very grateful for that. And so when you said this is a grand slam for me just to get to know you a little bit, and for you to want to take the time to ask those questions.
Sure.
So I have nothing to add, man. You did it all. And I mean that. And I feel very honored to be asked to be on this podcast. So thank you for your time, man.
Yeah.
I mean that very much.
Same to you.
Thank you.
I think we might be friends.
Well, we're definitely friends. And so, no, I appreciate your time so much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to whoever is listening, thank you for listening. I do want to make one final remark. To my friend Merle, thank you so much for believing in me and helping me get the things I need to do this the way I know it should be done. So I just want to break the fourth wall and acknowledge that. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you, Mitchell.
Yeah.
Thank you.